a story where we delve into the darkest corners of human nature. Today's episode unravels a tale of a groom vanishing on his wedding night and the shocking secrets of the bride revealed. Christopher Wilson, a 32-year-old software engineer, and Lisa Hartley, a 28-year-old elementary school teacher, had just exchanged vows in a lavish ceremony at the iconic Carmel Mission Basilica. The historic church, with its stunning Spanish colonial architecture, provided a romantic backdrop for what guests described as a fairy tale wedding. Little did anyone know that this fairy tale would soon turn into a horror. As the sun set over the Pacific Ocean, casting a golden glow over the reception at the upscale Carmel Valley Ranch, guests danced and toasted to the newlyweds' happiness. Christopher and Lisa, high school sweethearts who had been together for over a decade, seemed blissfully in love. They shared tender looks and stolen kisses throughout the evening, their joy palpable to everyone around them. At around 11:30 p.m., as the party was winding down, Christopher excused himself to use the restroom. That was the last time anyone would see him. When he didn't return after 20 minutes, Lisa, concerned, asked her brother to check on him. The restroom was empty. A quick search of the venue yielded no results. Christopher Wilson had vanished into thin air. Initially, guests and family members assumed it was a prank, or that Christopher had perhaps gone for a walk to clear his head after the excitement of the day. However, as the hours ticked by and there was no sign of the groom, the atmosphere shifted from mild concern to full-blown panic. Lisa, still in her white wedding gown, paced anxiously, her mascara streaking down her face as she tried repeatedly to reach Christopher on his cell phone. By 3 a.m., with Christopher still missing, Lisa made the difficult decision to contact the Monterey County Sheriff's Office. Deputy Sarah Martinez arrived at the scene, her face grim as she took in the bizarre situation. A missing groom on his wedding night was not a common occurrence, and the experienced officer knew immediately that this was no ordinary case. In the following days, an extensive search operation was launched across Carmel and the surrounding areas. Search and rescue teams combed the nearby beaches and hiking trails. Divers explored the waters off the coast, fearing the worst. Flyers with Christopher's photo and description were plastered across town, and local news stations ran constant updates on the case. As the investigation progressed, Detective James Reeves, a seasoned investigator with the Monterey County Sheriff's Office, began to dig deeper into the couple's background. On the surface, Christopher and Lisa seemed to have the perfect relationship. They were both well-liked in their community, active in local charities, and by all accounts, devoted to each other. However, as Reeves would soon discover, beneath this pristine exterior lay a web of secrets and lies that would shock even the most hardened investigators. The first crack in the facade appeared when Reeves interviewed Christopher's best friend and best man, Ryan Thompson. Ryan, visibly uncomfortable, revealed that Christopher had confided in him just days before the wedding. According to Ryan, Christopher had discovered something disturbing about Lisa's past and was considering calling off the wedding. Ryan didn't know the details, only that Christopher had been deeply troubled and conflicted. This revelation cast a new light on the case. Was Christopher's disappearance voluntary? Had he gotten cold feet and run away? Or was there something more sinister at play? Detective Reeves knew he needed to look closer at the bride, Lisa Hartley. On the surface, Lisa was the picture of a grieving newlywed. She appeared distraught in interviews, pleading for Christopher's safe return. Her pain seemed genuine, eliciting sympathy from the community and the media. However, as the investigation deepened, inconsistencies in her story began to emerge. A breakthrough came when detectives uncovered financial records showing large sums of money being transferred out of Christopher's accounts in the weeks leading up to the wedding. The transactions were authorized using Christopher's credentials, but the timing and amounts were suspicious. When confronted with this information, Lisa claimed ignorance, stating that Christopher handled all their finances. As detectives dug further into Lisa's background, they made a startling discovery. Lisa Hartley was not who she claimed to be. Fingerprint analysis revealed that she was actually Sarah Blackwood, a woman who had been reported missing from her home in Portland, Oregon, over a decade ago. The revelation sent shockwaves through the community. How could the beloved elementary school teacher, known for her kindness and dedication to her students, be living under a false identity? The answer, as investigators would soon uncover, lay in a dark and twisted tale of deception that spanned years. Sarah Blackwood had grown up in a troubled home in Portland. Her father, a prominent businessman, had been emotionally and physically abusive. At the age of 18, Sarah had disappeared, leaving behind a note claiming she couldn't take the abuse anymore. The case had gone cold, and Sarah Blackwood had been presumed dead. But Sarah hadn't died. She had reinvented herself as Lisa Hartley, moved to California, and carefully constructed a new identity. She met Christopher Wilson in college, and over the years had woven an intricate web of lies to hide her true identity. The question now was, did Christopher discover the truth about his bride? And if so, what happened to him? As the investigation continued, more disturbing details emerged. Forensic analysis of the couple's shared computer revealed that someone had been researching ways to disappear without a trace in the weeks leading up to the wedding. The search had been deleted, but cyber experts were able to recover the data. Additionally, security camera footage from a gas station just outside of Carmel showed a woman matching Lisa's description, buying a prepaid cell phone, and withdrawing a large amount of cash the day before the wedding. When confronted with this evidence, Lisa broke down, admitting that she had indeed been living under a false identity. However, she vehemently denied any involvement in Christopher's disappearance. Through tears, she explained that she had planned to tell Christopher the truth after the wedding. She claimed that she truly loved him and had been terrified of losing him if he knew about her past. As the days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the case of the vanishing groom continued to baffle investigators. Despite exhaustive searches and countless interviews, no trace of Christopher Wilson was ever found. Christopher Wilson was found. The community of Carmel by the Sea, once known for its idyllic charm, now found itself at the center of a national media frenzy. Theories abounded. Some believed that Christopher had discovered Lisa's true identity and fled, unable to cope with the betrayal. Others speculated that Lisa, fearing exposure, had somehow orchestrated Christopher's disappearance. The most sinister theories suggested that Christopher had been murdered, his body hidden somewhere in the vast wilderness surrounding Carmel. The case took another unexpected turn months after the ill-fated wedding. A hiker in Big Sur, about 30 miles south of Carmel, stumbled upon a weathered backpack hidden in a remote area off the Baranda Trail. Inside the backpack were a man's clothes, a large amount of cash, and a passport belonging to Christopher Wilson. The discovery reignited the investigation. Search teams once again combed the rugged terrain of Big Sur, hoping to find some trace of Christopher. Canine dogs were brought in, but no human remains were found. The location of the backpack, however, suggested that Christopher had at least made it this far on his own. Forensic analysis of the backpack and its contents provided more questions than answers. While the passport and clothes were definitively Christopher's, there were no fingerprints or DNA evidence that could confirm whether Christopher himself had placed the backpack there. The cash inside totaled over $50,000, leading investigators to believe that Christopher had planned his disappearance. As the investigation continued, detectives uncovered more about Lisa's past life as Sarah Blackwood. They learned that her father, Robert Blackwood, had died under suspicious circumstances just months before Sarah's disappearance. While officially ruled an accident, there had been whispers of foul play. Could Sarah have been involved in her father's death? The revelation added another layer of complexity to the case. If Christopher had discovered not only Lisa's true identity, but also her possible involvement in her father's death, it could explain his sudden disappearance. Fear for his own safety might have driven him to flee. The question remained, why hadn't Christopher come forward? If he was alive and in hiding, Surely he would have seen the media coverage of his disappearance. His silence was puzzling and troubling. As the 1-year anniversary of Christopher's disappearance approached, the case had become one of the most talked about mysteries in recent memory. Internet sleuths pored over evidence, and the residents of Carmel by the Sea found themselves living in the shadow of an unresolved tragedy. Lisa, or Sarah, as she was now known, remained in Carmel, living under constant scrutiny. She had lost her teaching job when her true identity was revealed, and she found herself ostracized by the community that had once embraced her. She maintained her innocence, insisting that she loved Christopher and had nothing to do with his disappearance. The stress of the ongoing investigation and media attention took its toll on Lisa. Once vibrant and outgoing, she became a recluse, rarely leaving her home. Those who caught glimpses of her described a woman who looked much older than her years, haunted by the weight of her secrets and the uncertainty of her future. In a surprising turn of events, 18 months after Christopher's disappearance, Lisa reached out to Detective Reeves. She claimed to have remembered something that might be crucial to the investigation. In a lengthy interview, Lisa revealed that in the weeks leading up to the wedding, she had noticed Christopher acting strangely. He had been making secretive phone calls and seemed distracted and anxious. Lisa's revelation led investigators to review Christopher's phone records from before his disappearance. They discovered a series of calls to a number in Mexico. When traced, the number belonged to a small beachside hotel in Tulum, a popular tourist destination on the Yucatan Peninsula. Detective Reeves and his team traveled to Tulum, hoping to finally break the case. At the hotel, they showed Christopher's picture to the staff. To their shock, one of the employees recognized him. The man claimed that someone matching Christopher's description had stayed at the hotel for several months, going by the name David Green. According to the hotel employee, David had arrived alone, paid in cash, and kept to himself. He had left abruptly about 6 months ago, leaving no forwarding address. The employee remembered him because of his unusual behavior. He seemed constantly on edge, as if he was running from something. This new information threw the entire investigation into chaos. Christopher had indeed fled to Mexico. It suggested that his disappearance was voluntary. But why would he abandon his life, his family, and his new bride? And where had he gone after leaving Tulum? As news of this development broke, public opinion began to shift. Many who had sympathized with Lisa now questioned her case. If Christopher had fled voluntarily, was it because he had discovered her secrets? The case that had once seemed like a potential murder mystery now looked more like a tale of betrayal and escape. Betrayal and deception. Back in Carmel, Lisa faced renewed scrutiny. She maintained that she had no knowledge of Christopher's plans or whereabouts. But you believed her? Her past deceptions made it difficult for anyone to trust her words. The investigation took another dramatic turn when detectives, following up on the Mexico lead, discovered that a man matching Christopher's description had crossed the border into Belize 3 months after leaving Tulum. From there, the trail went cold once again. As the second anniversary of Christopher's disappearance approached, the case remained unsolved. Christopher Wilson had vanished into thin air, leaving behind a web of lies, unanswered questions, and a community forever changed by the events of that fateful wedding night. The residents of Carmel by the Sea found themselves living in a divided town. Some believed Lisa was a victim, a woman whose past had caught up with her, forcing her husband to flee. The truth, as is often the case, likely lay somewhere in between. Lisa, unable to bear the constant scrutiny and whispers, eventually left Carmel. She moved to a small town in Northern California, attempting once again to start a new life. But the shadow of her past and the mystery of Christopher's disappearance continued to follow her. Christopher's family, particularly his parents, Thomas and Margaret Wilson, were left in a state of perpetual limbo. They couldn't mourn their son, for there was no proof of his death. Yet they couldn't hope for his return, as years had passed with no word from him. They became advocates for missing persons, channeling their grief into helping other families facing similar uncertainties. The case of the vanishing groom became a cautionary tale, a reminder that even in the most picturesque places, darkness can lurk beneath the surface. It sparked discussions about identity, trust, and the secrets we keep from those closest to us. As years passed, the mystery of Christopher Wilson's disappearance became part of local lore in Carmel by the Sea. Tour guides would point out the Carmel Mission Basilica, not just for its historical significance, but as the site of the wedding that led to one of the most baffling disappearances in recent memory. Periodically, new leads would emerge, sparking brief flurries of activity in the cold case. A man in Costa Rica bore a striking resemblance to Christopher. A woman in Australia claimed to have dated someone matching his description. Each lead was thoroughly investigated, but none led to Christopher. 5 years after the disappearance, on what would have been Christopher and Lisa's wedding anniversary, a mysterious package arrived at the Monterey County Sheriff's Office. Inside was a USB drive containing a video file. The video showed Christopher, looking older and weary, sitting on a beach at sunset. In the video, Christopher finally broke his silence. He explained that he had indeed discovered Lisa's true identity before the wedding. Shocked and hurt by the deception, he had planned to confront her after the ceremony. However, as he dug deeper into Sarah Blackwood's past, he uncovered something even more disturbing. Christopher claimed that he had found evidence suggesting that Lisa Sarah had been involved in her father's death. Fearing for his own safety, he had made the difficult decision to disappear. He apologized for the pain he had caused his family, but insisted that he had no choice. The video ended with Christopher stating that by the time anyone saw this, he would be somewhere they would never find him. He asked that everyone move on with their lives and find peace. The revelation sent shockwaves through the community once again. It provided some closure, confirming that Christopher was alive at least at the time of the recording. However, it also raised new questions. Where was Christopher now? And was his accusation about Lisa's involvement in her father's death true? Investigators reopened the case of Robert Blackwood's death, examining it with fresh eyes. They discovered inconsistencies in the original investigation, suggesting that the ruling of accidental death may have been premature. However, without concrete evidence, they couldn't prove any wrongdoing. Lisa, confronted with Christopher's accusations, continued to maintain her innocence. She admitted to fleeing an abusive home, but vehemently denied any involvement in her father's death. The years of living under a false identity had taken their toll, and she appeared a shell of the vibrant woman she had once been. As the case once again faded from the headlines, the residents of Carmel by the Sea were left to ponder the nature of truth, identity, and the secrets we all carry. The picturesque town, with its quaint cottages and breathtaking views, would forever be associated with a mystery that defied easy answers. The case of Christopher and Lisa became a modern-day legend, a tale of love, betrayal, and the lengths people will go to escape their past. It served as a reminder that sometimes the most shocking secrets are those hidden behind the facade of normality. In the end, the case of the vanishing groom left an indelible mark on all those involved. It changed lives, destroyed reputations, and forced the community to confront uncomfortable truths. The beautiful coastline of Carmel by the Sea, once a symbol of tranquility and romance, now held a darker significance for those who knew the case. As years turned into decades, the mystery of Christopher Wilson's disappearance continued to captivate the public's imagination. The case became the subject of numerous books, documentaries, and even a Hollywood film. Each new interpretation added layers to the story, blurring the lines between fact and fiction. In Carmel by the Sea, the impact of the case lingered long after the media frenzy had died down. Carmel Mission Basilica once a popular wedding venue, saw a decline in ceremonies as couples were reluctant to tempt fate. Arrow Valley Ranch, where the ill-fated reception had taken place, eventually rebranded itself, hoping to shake off the association with the infamous disappearance. 20 years after Christopher vanished, A new development breathed life into the cold case. A marine biologist conducting research off the coast of Big Sur made a startling discovery. While exploring a remote underwater cave system, the researcher came across a waterproof case wedged in a crevice. Inside the case was a journal, its pages filled with entries dated over several years. The handwriting matched Christopher Wilson's. The journal provided a glimpse into Christopher's life on the run. He wrote of his constant fear of being discovered, his regret at leaving his family behind, and his ongoing struggle with the knowledge of Lisa's deception. The entries revealed a man torn between his desire for safety and his longing for the life he left behind. Most intriguingly, the final entry, dated just 2 years prior to the journal's discovery, hinted at Christopher's intention to finally confront his past. He wrote of plans to return to the United States and face the consequences of his actions. However, the journal ended abruptly, leaving investigators to wonder what had happened to Christopher after he wrote that final entry. The discovery of the journal reignited public interest in the case. Speculation ran rampant about Christopher's fate. Had he followed through on his plan to return? If so, why hadn't he surfaced? Or had something happened to him before he could make his way back? Meanwhile, Lisa, now in her late 40s, had rebuilt a quiet life for herself in a small town in Oregon, ironically not far from where she had grown up as Sarah Blackwood. She had legally reclaimed her birth name and worked as a freelance writer, keeping to herself and avoiding any media attention. When news of the journal's discovery broke, reporters once again sought out Lisa for comment. In a brief statement released through her lawyer, she expressed hope that the journal might lead to answers about Christopher's whereabouts. She reiterated her innocence in both Christopher's disappearance and her father's death, pleading for privacy as the investigation continued. Detective James Reeves, now retired, followed the developments with keen interest. The case had defined his career, and even in retirement, he couldn't let it go. With the permission of the current investigators, Reeves volunteered his time to assist in analyzing the new evidence. As Reeves pored over the journal entries, he noticed something that others had missed. Certain phrases and references in Christopher's writing seemed to be coded messages. Drawing on his years of experience, Reeves began to decipher what he believed were hidden clues within the text. After weeks of painstaking work, Reeves made a breakthrough. He believed he had uncovered coordinates hidden in the journal entries. The coordinates pointed to a location in the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, not far from where Sarah Blackwood had grown up. A team of investigators was dispatched to the location. After a grueling trek through rough terrain, they came upon a small, abandoned cabin. Inside, they found evidence that someone had been living there until recently. Among the items left behind was a laptop computer. Forensic analysis of the laptop revealed a treasure trove of information. It contained detailed files about Robert Blackwood's death, including evidence that suggested it was indeed murder, not an accident as originally ruled. However, the files also exonerated Sarah Blackwood. Instead, they pointed to a conspiracy involving Robert Blackwood's business partners. The laptop also contained a video file, similar to the one Christopher had sent years earlier. In this new video, a visibly aged Christopher explained everything. He revealed that after discovering the truth about Robert Blackwood's death, he had faked his own disappearance to protect himself and Lisa while he gathered evidence. Christopher explained that he had spent years investigating the case, always staying one step ahead of those who might want to silence him. He had left clues in the hope that someone would eventually uncover the truth. The journal entries, the coded messages, all were part of his elaborate plan. In the video, Christopher expressed deep remorse for the pain he had caused his family and Lisa. He explained that he had initially fled out of fear and confusion, but as he uncovered more about the conspiracy surrounding Robert Blackwood's death, he realized he couldn't come back without putting everyone he loved in danger. The video ended with Christopher stating his intention to turn himself in and present his evidence to the authorities. He hoped that by doing so, he could finally bring closure to the case and allow everyone to move on with their lives. However, Christopher never made it to the authorities. 2 days after the discovery of the cabin, a body was found washed up on a beach near Eureka, California. Dental records confirmed it was Christopher Wilson. The autopsy revealed that Christopher had died from a gunshot wound. The investigation into his death opened a new chapter in the already complex case. Had Christopher been killed by those involved in the conspiracy he had uncovered? Or was there yet another twist to this tale? As news of Christopher's death spread, the community of Carmel by the Sea was once again thrust into the spotlight. The tragic end to Christopher's case brought a somber closure to one of the most perplexing mysteries the town had ever witnessed. The mood in the town had shifted. Many residents, who had once judged Christopher harshly for his disappearance, now felt a deep sadness for the life he had lived in hiding and the circumstances surrounding his death. Lisa, upon learning of Christopher's death, was devastated. In her first public appearance in years, she gave a heartfelt interview, expressing her grief and regret. She spoke of the love she and Christopher had shared, the pain of their separation, and her hope that the full truth would finally come to light. The evidence Christopher had gathered led to a series of high-profile arrests and convictions. Several prominent business figures were implicated in Robert Blackwood's death and other criminal activities. The case sent shockwaves through the corporate world, sparking calls for greater oversight and transparency in business practices. As for Lisa, she was finally cleared of any wrongdoing in her father's death. The revelation that she had been a victim rather than a perpetrator led to a shift in public opinion. Many who had vilified her over the years now saw her in a new light, as a woman who had suffered greatly due to circumstances beyond her control. In the wake of these revelations, Lisa chose to honor Christopher's memory by establishing a foundation in his name, the Christopher Wilson Foundation for Truth and Justice, aimed at helping individuals who had been wrongly accused or victimized by corporate crime. Through this work, Lisa found a measure of peace and purpose. The case of Christopher and Lisa became more than just a sensational true crime story. It evolved into a cautionary tale about the dangers of deception, the far-reaching consequences of corporate greed, and the resilience of the human spirit. It sparked important conversations about identity, trust, and the nature of truth in the modern world. In Carmel by the Sea, life gradually returned to normal, but the town was forever changed by the events that had unfolded. The case became part of the town's history, a story told to visitors and passed down through generations. As the years passed, the once shocking tale of the vanishing groom became a legend, encapsulating the complexities of human nature and the unpredictable twists of fate. It served as a reminder that sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction, and that even in the most idyllic settings, darkness can lurk beneath the surface. The beaches of Carmel, with their golden sands and crashing waves, continued to attract visitors from around the world. But for those who knew the case, the picturesque scenery held a deeper meaning. It stood as a testament to the enduring mystery of the human heart and the secrets we all carry within us. In the end, the case of Christopher Wilson and Lisa Hartley remained a poignant reminder of the power of love, the weight of secrets, and the unexpected ways in which our lives can be forever altered by the choices we make. Their story, with all its twists and turns, became a modern-day epic, a tale of love and loss, deception and redemption that would be remembered long after the protagonists were gone. As the sun set over Carmel by the Sea, casting long shadows across the beach where Christopher and Lisa had once walked hand in hand, the town settled into a peaceful quiet. The mystery that had defined it for so long had finally been laid to rest, but its legacy would live on, a haunting reminder of the thin line between truth and deception, and the enduring power of a love that defied all expectations. Thank you for joining us on this thrilling journey into the mysterious case of the vanishing groom. We hope this story has captivated your imagination and sparked your curiosity about the complexities of human nature and the unpredictable twists of fate. We appreciate your time and attention and are grateful for your interest in our true crime narrative. Your support motivates us to continue bringing you compelling stories that explore the darker sides of human experience, while also highlighting resilience and the pursuit of truth. Remember, behind every sensational headline lies a complex web of human emotions, motivations, and circumstances. As we've seen in Christopher and Lisa's case, the truth is often more intricate and surprising than we initially assume. We look forward to welcoming you back for more intriguing tales in our upcoming videos. There are countless untold stories waiting to be explored, each offering unique insights into the human condition. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and remember that sometimes the most shocking secrets are hidden in plain sight. Thank you once again, and we'll see you in our next video.